A tense scene erupts on a bustling city street when an entitled woman spits out a hateful command at a calm black man minding his own business. Bystanders gather, some whispering in agreement, others frozen in disbelief. The man's silent strength sets the tone for a confrontation that's about to flip the crowd's loyalty. The chapter ends on a cliffhanger when he steps forward to speak, and everyone leans in, expecting an explosion. Go back to Africa where you people belong. The words cut through the summer air like a rusty knife, slicing the busy street into uncomfortable silence. A bus screeches by, but even its roar can't drown the sting in her voice. The woman, tall blonde, sunglasses perched like a crown of cheap authority, stands, with one manicured finger pointed squarely at the black man whose only crime was waiting calmly for the crosswalk light to change. People stop. A mother clutches her child's hand tighter. A teenage boy fumbles for his phone, camera already rolling, smelling the heat of viral drama. The sun glares down on the cracked pavement, baking the tension into every bystander's skin. She smirks her, lips curling as if tasting power on her tongue. She knows the audience is watching. She likes it. She thrives on the shifting eyes, the nods from two men leaning against a food cart, the way the air itself feels like an invisible stage. The man, tall and broad-shouldered, dressed in a crisp white shirt and dark jeans, doesn't flinch. His hands stay resting at his sides, one thumb hooked lightly on his pocket. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't even blink hard. He just stands there, brown eyes steady beneath the shadow. Of his cap top behind him, the crosswalk signal blinks red. Cars roll to a stop. Someone coughs. Another phone lifts up to catch every second, because this is the kind of scene that people feed on, the poison they share behind bright screens. Did you hear me? She hisses louder, taking a step closer. Her perfume leaves a trail of fake roses and cigarette smoke. I said, go back to Africa. We don't want you people here, taking our jobs, walking around like you own the place. He looks past her at the small crowd. A man in a suit shifts uncomfortably. A young woman with purple hair bites her lip. No one steps in. Not yet. It's that same old fear, speak up, become a target. Stay silent, stay safe. A gust of wind lifts the corner of a crumpled flyer at his feet. He lowers his eyes for a second, just enough for her to puff up her chest, convinced she's won. Her voice sharpens into a cold blade. What? Got nothing to say now? Figures. You people never... She stops mid-sentence when he moves. Slowly, deliberately, he reaches into his back pocket. The woman flinches as if expecting a weapon. The phones inch closer. One man whispers, "Yo, what's he got?" But it's not a weapon. It's his wallet, sleek, worn leather. He flips it open, slides out a folded piece of paper, and holds it up between two fingers. It's a tiny action, but it shifts the air. Suddenly, the bystanders lean forward, squinting at what he holds. Her eyes dart from the paper to his face, confusion flickering behind her shield of arrogance. You know what this is? His voice is calm, deep, steady enough to make people hush the world around them to hear each syllable. She laughs, brittle and forced. What? Your deportation papers? Don't play games with me. He doesn't move the paper an inch closer. He wants her to come to him. He wants the cameras to catch her stepping forward, her shiny purse swinging like a trophy. When she's close enough, she snatches it from his hand, squinting at the neat black print. Her eyes flick up to his face. Back to the paper, her mouth twitches. She doesn't understand yet, but she senses the ground under her designer flats cracking. She glances at the crowd. Some people crane their necks, trying to peek at the document. It's nothing, she snaps, voice trembling just enough for the front row to taste her doubt. He steps closer, so close she has to tilt her head back to hold his eyes. His calm is unsettling, unnatural to her idea of how this should go. She wants shouting. She wants rage she can twist back at him. But all he gives her is this heavy, unbothered presence, like an immovable wall she can't graffiti with her hate. He leans in, voice dropping to a near whisper but somehow louder than her shriek. Keep it. Read it tonight. Or better yet, read it out loud right now. She opens her mouth, but no words come. Someone in the crowd shouts, "What does it say?" He doesn't answer them. He lifts his chin, catching every camera lens, every pair of wide eyes. Then, with a ghost of a smile, he delivers the line that freezes the moment in amber. "Next time you tell someone to go back," he says, voice slicing through her mask of confidence, "make sure they don't already own the street you're standing on." A hush sweeps over the crowd like a wave retreating from shore before the storm hits. The crosswalk light flicks green. But no one moves. Everyone waits for what comes next. Her fingers tremble as she tries to unfold the paper he handed her. She holds it out like it's contagious, like it might burn her skin if she grips it too tight. The corner flaps in the warm breeze, brushing her wrist like a mocking tickle. People close in. They don't care if they're in the sun too long or if traffic honks impatiently in the distance. This is better than reality TV. This is real, raw, and right here on their street. A teenage boy edges closer, phone held high, camera rolling. He whispers, loud enough for the woman to hear, "Read it." "Come on, Karen, read it out loud." The name sticks to her like glue. She hates it, but she can't scrape it off now. She clears her throat and lifts her sunglasses up onto her head, revealing eyes that dart from word to word, searching for a way to twist this in her favor. He stands motionless in front of her, arms crossed loosely over his chest. His calm is magnetic. A man next to him, older, gray hair poking out from under a baseball cap, watches him with an approving nod. The crowd senses it too, the power shift. One hateful shout isn't enough anymore. This isn't her show now. She clears her throat again. The words feel like poison in her mouth. This is fake. It's probably fake. "You people, what's it say?" Someone calls out. A woman in a nurse's scrubs takes a bold step forward. Her shoes squeak on the hot pavement as she peers over the entitled woman's shoulder. She squints, then gasps just loud enough for the people closest to catch it. "He owns the building?" She says, half to herself, half to the world. Her voice grows stronger. "This says he owns the building across the street, the whole block." The word "owns" hangs in the air like a spark about to catch dry leaves. It jumps from mouth to mouth. "Owns the block. This guy owns it?" The man says nothing. He doesn't need to. His silence is heavier than her next insult could ever be. She shoves the paper back at him, but it slips from her grip and flutters to the ground between them. He doesn't pick it up. He just lets it rest there, a quiet truth at their feet that she can't bury under her cheap perfume and sharper tongue. "You think that makes you better?" She spits, her voice rising like a balloon about to pop. "Money doesn't mean you belong here. We built this city. We made this country." He finally moves, just a step forward, but it's enough to make her flinch again. He tilts his head, studying her like she's a puzzle missing half its pieces. His voice is soft, just above a whisper, yet it cuts deeper than a shout. "Who's we?" he asks. The question echoes in the tiny canyon of silence that falls between them. People shift their weight, uncomfortable. Some look at their feet, at their phones, anywhere but her face. A man in a suit clears his throat. Behind her. "Ma'am, maybe you should just..." She spins on him like a viper, eyes flashing. "You stay out of this. Don't tell me what to do. He doesn't belong here." "I don't care what that paper says." A laugh bursts out from the boy with the phone. It's loud, sharp, cutting the tension like scissors through cheap fabric. "Lady, you're standing on his sidewalk," he says. "You telling him to leave his own street?" The crowd snickers. A small ripple at first, but it grows, fed by the awkward energy that her insults can't hold back anymore. She senses the shift, the warm sun that used to feel like a spotlight now burning her skin.
Raw?
Her power trickles out through the cracks in her voice. She jabs a finger at the man's chest, not quite touching him. "You think you're special? Think you can just buy respect? Money doesn't change what you are." He glances at her finger, then back into her eyes. "Respect isn't bought," he says, each word measured, deliberate, undeniable. "It's earned or lost. For a heartbeat, no one moves." Then the nurse steps closer, planting herself at his side. The old man with the baseball cap moves too, just enough to make it clear whose side they're on. A teenage girl in a bright yellow dress drifts to his other shoulder, phone still filming, defiance dancing in her eyes. The crowd is shifting. Physically now, like iron filings pulled by a new magnet. Her arrogance shrinks under the weight of so many silent stares. She sees it. She feels it pressing down on her perfect hair, her expensive bag, her fragile throne of hate. She opens her mouth, but the words die on her tongue. For the first time, the woman who started this doesn't know what to say. And that silence is louder than any insult she could spit. He bends slowly, picks up the fallen paper, folds it once, twice, then slips it back into his pocket without breaking eye contact. When he straightens, his calm smile is the only thing the crowd needs to know who really owns this moment. She takes a step back, then another. The street feels smaller now. The crowd feels bigger. Her words, so sharp and certain minutes ago, have turned to dust in her throat. The crowd that once watched in frozen curiosity now breathes together, like a single creature waking up from a long nap. Whispers bounce off concrete walls. "Hush, hush, no more." The nurse crosses her arms, eyes locked on the woman who's slowly realizing her stage is slipping away. A man in a blue hoodie murmurs, "She's done this before. Last week at the coffee shop, same thing. Screamed at a kid 'cause he spoke Spanish to his mom." His voice is just loud enough for a cluster of people to hear. Their eyes widen. Someone else nods. "Yeah, she yelled at my neighbor once." Same words. Each quiet confession adds a brick to the wall she can't break through. Her mask cracks. She tries to fix it with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "You people don't know me," she snaps. "He's playing you." "They always do." A woman with dreadlocks steps forward. Her voice is calm, the same calm that's been holding the man steady since the first insult. "We know enough," she says. Her tone isn't loud, but the people closest to her feel the power tucked inside each syllable. "We see you now." The man shifts his weight, letting the moment breathe. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't need to. He watches her crumble under the weight of her own history unraveling in public. A police cruiser crawls by, siren off but lights flickering. The driver slows when he sees the crowd. The officer's window slides down halfway, his sunglasses hiding any flicker of judgment or concern. "You folks all right here?" The officer asks, voice flat, routine. The man in the hoodie turns to him. "Yeah, officer. Just making sure the block stays clean," he says. Words dipped in irony sharp enough to draw a grin from a few in the crowd. The officer glances at the woman. She tries to catch his eye, to rope him into her side with that desperate spark of entitlement. But he just nods once, rolls the window up, and drives off slow, a clear sign that even the uniform isn't going to save her this time. Gust of wind stirs a loose candy wrapper down the sidewalk. It bumps against the man's shoe. He doesn't move. He just watches her face tighten as the crowd edges closer, not in aggression, but in a quiet ring of resistance. A circle that tells her, "You can't stand here anymore and pretend we don't see you." Someone taps her shoulder. A college kid, backpack slung over one arm, earbuds dangling. "Hey lady, you done yet? Some of us gotta get by." He says it with the lazy confidence of youth, but the words land like stones. She jerks away from his touch, clutching her purse to her chest like a shield. "I'm not the problem here," she snaps, her voice pinched, sharp. He's just playing you all. Look at him. Acting all innocent. He hasn't said a word to you except the truth," says the nurse. Her arms stay folded, voice calm as she slices through the last excuse. "You're the only one screaming." The man's eyes flick to her, a small knot of gratitude hidden behind the calm mask he wears so well. He doesn't interrupt. Let them speak. Let the weight of the truth shift from his shoulders to theirs. It's heavier that way and fairer. A father with a stroller pulls up to the edge of the circle. His baby babbles, oblivious to the tension. He glances at the woman, then at the man. "My kid's gonna grow up on this street," he says. "I'd rather he see you walk away than hear your poison." His words are soft, almost gentle, but they land like a final push against the crumbling wall she's built. She looks around for someone, anyone, who will jump to her defense, but the silence swallows her whole. Even the two men at the food cart won't meet her eyes anymore. One of them flicks his cigarette to the ground, crushing it under his heel. A small, bitter laugh escapes her lips. It's empty, all bark, no teeth left. "You think you're all so righteous? You'll see. He'll show you who he really is." The man's smile is the same as it's been since the start, calm, steady, just this side of amused. "They already know," he says softly. His words echo just enough to bounce back at her, stripping her last threadbare defense. She takes one step back, then another. The circle parts, but not for her comfort. They open the way so she can leave. No one touches her. No one has to. The shame alone does the pushing. She turns, chin up, shoulders rigid like a broken doll refusing to bend. She steps past the college kid, past the father with the stroller, past the nurse who doesn't move aside but forces her to sidestep awkwardly. Each step is a slow surrender. The whispers follow her like shadows. This time, the crowd doesn't whisper about the man who stood calm. They whisper about her. Behind her, the man finally breathes in deeper, the smallest crack in his composure. Invisible to most but felt by the few who watched him stand so still for so long. He doesn't look back at her retreating shape. Instead, he looks at the people around him. The nurse, the old man, the college kid, the father. They look back, and in that quiet eye contact is an unspoken promise. We're not blind anymore. The last echo of her footsteps fades into the city's hum. The street feels lighter, but not empty. The same people who once clutched phones for drama now stand in a hush they don't know how to break. The nurse adjusts her scrubs. The father bounces his baby gently, eyes downcast as if the cracks in the pavement hold answers. No one wants to say out loud, "The man stands in the same spot where she told him to leave." He doesn't move yet. His shoulders roll back once, the only sign that he's been carrying a silent storm in his chest. He lets out a slow breath, quiet enough for only him to hear, and meets the eyes of the nurse who first stepped to his side. "Thank you," she says. Two simple words that wobble at the edges of her voice. She says it like an apology stitched inside a thank you, a patch for a hole too big to close in one day. He nods. A small tilt of his chin that says he heard her, but won't press her to say more. He won't belittle her courage with an easy brush off. Respect, like he said, is earned on both sides. The teenage boy with the phone lowers it, thumb hovering above the screen. He looks embarrassed now. I didn't mean to, I wasn't trying to blow you up for likes or anything." The man raises an eyebrow, and the kid winces. He holds out the phone like an offering. "I'll delete it if you want." "All of it." A moment passes. The man looks at the phone, then at the kid's worried face. He thinks of how many stories get buried because no one's watching, and how many explode because someone did. Finally, he shakes his head. "Keep it," he says, voice soft but edged with iron. "But post the truth. All of it." The kid nods fast, relief washing over his face like cold water on a hot day. Yeah, I got you. I promise." He slips the phone back in his pocket but stays close, orbiting the edge of the small circle of people who don't want to drift away. Just yet. A breeze moves through, gentle this time. The old man in the baseball cap clears his throat, shifting his feet like they're glued to the sidewalk. "Son," he says, voice gravelly but honest, "back when I was your age we let too much slide. Shoulda said more done." More. He pauses, eyes darting away before they find the man's steady gaze again. "Guess I'm saying, you shouldn't have to stand alone like that." For the first time since the woman spat her hate, a small smile flickers on the man's face, faint but real. "Next time, you won't let it slide," he says. "No." Bitterness, no blame, just a quiet push forward. The old man nods, shoulders loosening like old knots finally untangling. "Next time," he agrees, more to himself than anyone. A few people drift closer, the circle swelling and shrinking like a heartbeat. They don't know what to say, but they want to stand near him. Like standing near him might make them braver next time. The father with the stroller bounces his baby, who gurgles happily, innocent to the poison that stained the air moments. A go. "If you ever need anything," he says, voice gentle, "my shop's right on the corner. Free coffee, any day." The man lets out a soft laugh, the kind that breaks tension like sunshine after rain. "Appreciate that," he says. Someone in the back clears their throat. A young woman with a notepad tucked under her arm, maybe. A student journalist, maybe just someone who writes things down so they don't get forgotten. "Sir," she says, stepping forward, "what's your name?" People should know who stood his ground today. For a heartbeat, he almost answers. But then he shakes his head. "My name's not the story," he says, voice calm and warm enough to wrap around them all. "The story is you. All of you. What you do next." It settles in their chests like an ember. They shift, some nodding, some pressing lips together like they want to say more but don't have the right words yet. The nurse steps closer, hand outstretched. He takes it, a firm shake that doesn't linger too long but means everything. "It should. You stay safe," she says. "Don't let people like her pull you down." He smiles. Can't pull down what they can't reach. The line lands gentle but firm, reminding everyone that dignity isn't something you can rip away with one hateful command. It's something you carry, quietly, every day. No matter who tries to shove you off the sidewalk. He finally steps forward, the circle parting not out of fear but out of respect. He walks through them slow, nodding once to the old man, once to the kid with the phone, once to the father rocking his child. He passes the nurse last. She watches him go, a small hope flickering behind the worry in her eyes. Behind him, whispers are different now. Not poison, not gossip, but small sparks of conversation. Tiny promises that maybe, just maybe, next time won't look like the last time. He leaves the crowd like smoke drifting off a burned-out match. No fire left to feed there. The sidewalk feels different now under his shoes, as if the ground itself recognizes him more than the people did. He slips his hands into his pockets, shoulders loose. Eyes calm but alert to every face that turns as he passes. Half a block down, an old barber stands outside his tiny shop, sweeping away clippings that the wind loves to scatter. The old man straightens when he spots him, leaning the broom against the glass. "Saw it," he says, voice rasped by years of yelling over buzzing clippers and neighborhood gossip. The man just nods once. "Figured you did." The barber chuckles, missing teeth peeking through his grin. "'Bout time someone shut her up. She come in here once, you know. Complained the music was too loud. Sod we didn't belong on her block." The man tilts his head at the painted sign above the door, same sign that's been there 30 years. He runs a finger over the chipped paint, like touching an old scar. "Funny thing," he says, almost to himself, "she's standing on my concrete, yelling at my roots, pretending she planted them." The barber laughs at that, a deep belly sound that rolls into the street. A young boy inside the shop peeks through the window, curiosity painted all over his wide eyes. The barber sees him, nods toward the boy. He was watching the video already. "Your words went around the block twice before you even got halfway down." He raises an eyebrow. "Good words or bad ones?" The barber shrugs. "Truth, sometimes." "That's enough." They stand like that for a breath. Two men who know this street like they know the lines on their palms. Then he lifts a hand, says, "Be safe," and keeps walking. The broom picks up its quiet scratch on the sidewalk behind him. The next corner smells like fresh bread. A tiny bakery he helped keep afloat when the bank tried to squeeze it out during the lean months. Inside, a young woman waves at him through the glass. She mouths thank you, though he can't hear it through the hum of the city. He taps 2 fingers to his cap and reply dot at the crosswalk. An old mural stretches over the side of a crumbling brick wall, a painted fist wrapped in vines and roots, crowned with a single bright sun. He stops just for a moment to look at it. He remembers the day they painted it, kids on ladders, elders passing up brushes, laughter mixing with the splash of colors. They called it Roots Rise. It was never about defiance, it was a reminder. A car idles at the light beside him. The driver, a young guy with big headphones, lifts a hand in a half wave. The man nods back. The light changes. He crosses slow, letting the weight of every memory fill each step. He thinks of how many times he's heard the word belong tossed like a brick through his windows. How many times people like her showed up in fancy cars, fancy words, acting like this block was waiting for them to save it or erase it. But the block never needed saving. It needed respect. He pauses by a narrow alley where the bricks are tagged with stories, names, dates, half-finished poems, and spray paint that only the neighbors can read like scripture. He drags a fingertip over one name in bright red, Malik. 1996. He remembers Malik, another man who stood still when they told him to go. He doesn't linger. There's too much to do, too many buildings to fix, too many kids to sponsor through college, too many nights when he'll stand at a window counting the ways the world still tries to push people like him off the map. A gentle voice calls out. Behind him, he turns to see a young woman balancing 2 heavy grocery bags. Her shoulders sag under the weight until she sees him. Then her spine straightens, eyes bright with something braver than yesterday's silence. "Sir," she says, half breathless, "I saw what happened back there. I just wanted to say, you don't owe me anything." He cuts in gently. She shakes her head. "No, I owe myself to speak up next time." He looks at her arms trembling under the bags. He reaches out, lifts one from her shoulder without asking. She doesn't protest. They walk the last stretch of sidewalk side by side, a quiet pair, 2 strangers who know the same truth. This block belongs to those who stand on it, not those who shout at it. He helps her to her building stoop. She thanks him, voice steady. Now less afraid to be seen. He nods once, steps back, and watches her climb her steps under the soft glow of the streetlight that flickers but never goes out. When he turns away, The night feels alive, not safe, not perfect, but alive with whispers of a better version of this same cracked concrete dot. He keeps walking. The block behind him breathes easier. The night drifts in on a warm breeze that rattles the blinds in his living room. The hum of city lights seeps through the cracked window, mixing with the smell of something good simmering in the kitchen. He shrugs off his jacket, drapes it over the back of the same chair he's dropped it on 100 times before. His sister's voice floats in from the kitchen, equal parts warmth and steel. "You hungry, or you just gonna stand there like a statue all night?" He smiles, the day's weight softening just a notch at the sound of her. "I'm hungry," he says, stepping into the small kitchen that always smells like garlic and second chances. On the fridge, his nephew's drawings are taped up crooked, superheroes with brown skin and bright capes. A city skyline under a rising sun. The boy himself sits at the table, legs swinging, tablet balanced on his knees. The video is paused mid-frame, a freeze of the woman's twisted face and his uncle standing still, calm as stone. "Auntie said I couldn't watch it unless you said okay," the boy says, wide-eyed. He can't be more than 10 but carries questions big enough for any grown man. He ruffles the boy's hair. "You can watch, but you ask your questions when it's done. Deal?" The boy nods, hits play. The kitchen fills with the ghost of the day, the hissed insults, the shifting crowd, his own voice cutting through it like a quiet knife. His sister ladles stew into bowls, the clink of the spoon the only thing competing with the woman's. Hate playing on a 4-inch screen. When it ends, the boy looks up. "Why'd she tell you to go away?" His voice is so soft, so simple, it makes the man wish the answer could be 2. His sister sits across from him, pushes a bowl his way. "Eat first," she says. It's not a suggestion. He obeys, lifting a spoon, letting the heat of the stew chase the chill the question left behind. "She told me that," he says between quiet bites, "because people like her think where you're born decides where you belong." The boy frowns. "But you were born here. Mama says you were born in this house." His sister smiles at that, taps her spoon on her bowl. "Darn right." Upstairs, back room. "I screamed so loud I scared the neighbors. Cat half to death." A ghost of a laugh curls through the man's chest. "She doesn't care about where I was born. She cares that people like me don't bow when she shouts." The boy thinks this over, spoon halfway to his mouth. "But you didn't shout back." "No." His uncle says, voice steady. "Sometimes shouting back means she wins twice." His sister lifts her eyes to meet his, a look heavy with silent thank yous. Silent worries she'll never say out loud in front of her boy. She reaches across, squeezes his hand once, quick and firm. "Are you mad?" the boy asks. The man shakes his head. "No, I'm tired. Tired's different." They eat in the hush of their little kitchen, spoons scraping ceramic, the old wall clock clicking out seconds like small reminders. Time keeps moving, so do we. When the boy finishes, he wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. "Uncle, when I grow up, will people tell me to go back too?" His spoon pauses mid-er. The question hits harder than any word that woman spat at him today. He sets the spoon down, lets the silence wrap around the table for a breath too long. "Maybe," he says, honest but gentle. "But if they do, you stand right where you are. You stand calm. You stand true?" The boy nods like he understands. Oh, he doesn't. Not yet. But someday he will, and maybe that's enough tonight. His sister leans back in her chair, eyes soft but fierce. "We're not going anywhere," she says, mostly to herself but loud enough for the walls to hold. The promised out he smiles. "Nowhere," he echoes. The boy slides off his chair, tablet tucked under one arm. He disappears down the hall, feet thumping soft against old floorboards. The man listens until the bedroom door clicks shut. His sister watches him. You shouldn't have to explain this to him. He shrugs, shoulders carrying an old, familiar weight. Better he hears it from me than from her. She stands, begins gathering bowls, clinks them in the sink. I wish Mama was here to see you stand like that. She'd say, don't let their noise drown your roots. He mimics their mother's old voice, rough but kind. They both laugh, the kind of laugh that stitches old wounds without leaving a scar. He stands to help her dry the dishes. Water warm on his hands. Outside, the block hums, alive, imperfect, awake. He glances at the window, city lights flickering like stubborn stars. This is home. Not because he says so, but because he stands here, calm and unbothered, ready for the next voice that thinks it can push him off his own street. The sun creeps over cracked rooftops, washing the block in soft gold that does nothing to hush the rumors already crawling down sidewalks like ants. At the corner store, the bell above the door jingles nonstop as neighbors drift in and out, each with an opinion, each with a version, each with a new slice of the same truth. Inside, an old radio hums behind the counter, static mixing with news. About the weather and traffic no one cares about right now. Mr. Hassan, the store's owner for nearly 20 years, leans on the counter, half listening to a young man explain how he saw the whole thing online last night. She told him to go back. The kid says, voice too loud for the tiny store. Man didn't even raise his voice. Just stood there. You see his face? Calm. As a stone, man. Hassan nods, ringing up a pack of gum and a bottle of water. He's heard the story 5 times this morning, each version taller than the last. But the route stays the same. One voice tried to shove him out, but the block didn't move. Near the back, 2 old women hover by the shelves of canned soup. One clutches a basket brimming with tea bags and sugar. She shakes her head, tongue clicking in disapproval. Her daddy was the same, she whispers to her friend. Mean as a kicked dog. Always barking at people who didn't look like him. Her friend, glasses slipping down her nose, snorts. Well, maybe now folks'll bark back. They both chuckle under their breath, the sound soft but sharp enough to slice through the stale air of old fear. Outside on the corner were kids. Used to play stickball before cars got too bold. A teenager leans against a brick wall, scrolling through the same clip again and again. He watches the man stand steady. Watches the woman spit her poison, watches the moment when the whole street seemed to lean in closer. His friend nudges him. Why you watching it again, man? The boy shrugs. Just feels good, you know? Seeing him stand there like that makes me feel like I could too. A delivery driver parks his van half on the curb, half in the street, curses under his breath at a double-parked car. He steps out, overhears the boys talking. Y'all talking about the guy from yesterday? He asks, hauling a crate of bread onto his shoulder. Yeah, the boy says. You see it? The driver grins. Damn right I did. 'Bout time someone put her in her place. The block hums with it. The invisible thread that used to tie lips shut now tugs them open. Not everyone's, but enough to shift the weather. Word travels fast here. It always has. But it's not just the street buzzing now. It's phones, inboxes, whispers that reach corners she can't control. Farther uptown, she sits in her car, engine idling while her hands grip the wheel tight. Enough to whiten her knuckles. Her reflection in the rearview mocks her with every fresh notification lighting up her phone. She scrolls furiously through comments she wishes she could unwrite. Serves you right. We see you now. Your daddy's money can't buy silence this time. She tries to reply, thumbs stabbing the screen. He was aggressive. He threatened me. He made me feel unsafe. But each excuse wilts under the screenshot of her own words, frozen forever. Go back to Africa where you people belong. She pulls into a gas station, slams the car door harder than she means to. A man filling his tank glances at her, then at his phone when he hears the ping. The same clip playing on his feed. Their eyes meet for a breath. She opens her mouth, maybe to spin her story. He looks right through her, unfazed, unbothered. Back on the block, the man's name drifts through conversations like a soft chant, even if most don't know it. To them, he's just him, the man who didn't flinch, who didn't spit poison back when he was drenched in it. At the bus stop, a mother pulls her daughter close, telling her softly, "If anyone ever talks to you like that, you stand strong. You hear? You stand strong like him." A pair of city workers on break sip their coffee by the curb, watching the slow parade of gossip. One of them shakes his head. "Funny thing," he says, voice rough from too many cigarettes. "She always thought this block was hers." His buddy lifts his cup in a mock toast toward the corner store. "It never was." Inside, Hassan slides $1 across the counter to the young man still telling the story to whoever will listen. "Buy the man a coffee if you see him," Hassan says. "Tell him it's from the block." The kid grins wide, nods once, and disappears into the bright morning sun, a tiny promise tucked in his pocket. Outside, the rumor mill spins faster, but this time the truth is too big to hush. The knock comes just after 10, when the city's pulse dips into that hush where only dogs bark and old pipes groan. He sets down the book he's barely been reading and listens. One knock, not desperate, not angry, just steady. He crosses the small hallway, flicks on the porch light. Through the warped glass, he sees a shape, broad shoulders, head hung. Low, not a reporter. Not her. He opens the door just enough to catch a clear look. A man stands there, older than him but not by much. Same neighborhood tiredness tucked in the lines around his eyes. His baseball cap is pulled low, hands shoved deep in his jacket pockets. He shifts his weight from foot to foot like he might bolt if given an excuse. "You him?" the man asks. Voice rough but not sharp. He studies him for a heartbeat, then pushes the door open wider. "I'm him." The stranger lets out a breath, relief mixing with shame. I'm sorry for knocking this late. Didn't know where else to go." He leans against the doorframe, arms folded loose. "You found the right place. What can I do for you?" The man lifts his head, and there it is, the same nose, same sharp brow. The woman's brother, for sure, but the eyes are different. Softer, less sure of themselves. "I'm her brother," he says, like he hates the taste of it in his mouth. "Saw the video. Saw. All of it." Silence wraps around them. The porch light flickers, bugs tapping at the bulb like tiny fists. He gestures to the old wooden chair by the door. "Sit if you want. No one's gonna shout at you here." The brother lowers himself onto the chair like he's afraid it'll break under the weight of what he's carrying. He runs a hand over his jaw, eyes darting to the street, to the window behind him, anywhere but at the man standing so still. In his own doorway, "She's always been like that," he starts, voice a notch above a whisper. "Daddy fed it to us with breakfast. Hate for dessert. I left as soon as I could. Joined the service. Been gone 20 years. And now?" he asks, leaning on the doorframe, voice calm, steady. "Now?" The brother shakes his head. "Now. She's burning the house down with it. Ma's gone, Daddy's gone, and she's carrying it alone. She called me today, yelling, crying, saying people are threatening her, saying it's your fault." The man's laugh is soft, sad more than mocking. "I didn't tell her to open her mouth." "I know." The brother's eyes lift for. The first time, they're clear, worn down, but honest. I wanted you to hear it from me. She doesn't speak for me. She doesn't speak for a lot of us." A car passes slow down the block, headlights sweeping the porch. They sit in the glow for a second. Two men who should be strangers but aren't. You didn't have to come here, he says. Yeah, I did. The brother huffs a tired laugh. People see that video. They think we're all like her. I ain't. I swear I ain't. And I got two kids who look at me like I better prove it every day. He lets the words settle. A neighbor's dog barks down the street, sharp and distant. The porch light hums above their heads. He steps inside, comes back with 2 chipped mugs of tea. He hands one over. You didn't come to fix her, he says, blowing steam off his own mug. So why'd you really come? The brother holds the mug like it might burn him. I came 'cause when I watched you stand there, I saw him. Him? My granddad, black as the day's long. Daddy spent his whole life pretending he didn't exist. Called him a mistake, a shame. Beat it into us to never talk about it. She turned that into poison. I turned it into never again. He takes a slow sip, lets the heat fill the quiet. The porch creaks under their shared weight, 2 men balanced on the same truth. She's your blood, he says gently. You can't cut that out, the brother nods. Doesn't mean I gotta carry her hate. Or let my kids drink from that same cup. They sit like that, the block humming in the background. The brother sips his tea, breathes slower. The man studies him, sees the shame, the resolve, the flicker of something trying to grow where hate used to sit. You don't owe me an apology, he says finally. I didn't come to owe you, the brother replies. Came to stand on your porch so you'd know. Some of us are trying. He nods once, lifts his mug in a quiet toast. Then keep trying. The brother clinks his mug back. One day at a time. Out on the porch, the bugs dance in the porch. Light. 2 men sip warm tea while the night holds its breath. Proof that sometimes roots break rocks, and sometimes they break hate too. The hall smells like stale coffee and floor polish, same as it has since they built it 30 years ago. With borrowed money and volunteer sweat. Rows of metal chairs scrape the linoleum as neighbors shuffle in, pulling collars tight against the chill that always leaks through the old windows. He slips in quiet, nods to Mr. Hassan already settled near the front. The nurse from that day waves him over, her uniform replaced by a thick cardigan and worry tucked behind her glasses. He settles next to her, arms crossed, calm as ever. At the front, an older woman with silver hair taps the mic. Her voice crackles through the half-broken speaker. All right, everyone settle. We're here 'cause we gotta be, not 'cause we want to be. Murmurs roll through the rows, old gossip, fresh anger, nervous laughter that dies quick under. The weight of what they all know brought them here. The video plays on every phone, every mind. A stain and a spark, all at once. A man in a suit stands, sleeves rolled to his elbows like he wants folks to know he works hard. He clears his throat. We gotta think how this makes us look. This block already don't get much funding. We cause noise, we lose more. A teenager in the back scoffs loud enough to echo. Ain't us causing noise, it's them. He jerks his chin toward where the man sits calm, the living proof of them. The man stays still. Lets the silence answer first. Lets the echo of the truth bounce off the old hall's peeling walls. Mr. Hassan stands up next. He taps his cane for quiet that comes faster than the mic ever could. I seen this block through 3 mayors and 5 rent hikes, he says, voice strong enough. Without the speaker. Every time trouble comes, they say don't rock the boat. Meanwhile, we drown quiet while they sail right past. A few heads nod, a few arms cross tighter. The man stays silent, listening. Always listening. The nurse leans forward, clears her throat. What happened wasn't our shame, she says, calm but sharp. It was hers, and we stood there too quiet too long. So now it's on us. What we do next says more about us than that clip ever could. Near the aisle, A young mother bounces a fussing baby on her lap. She raises her voice over the babies. Soft cries. We stand by him, by anyone she'd spit at. Or we don't. Simple. Arguments flicker up and down the rows, voices old and new, some too tired to care, some too tired not to. The suit man tries again. But if we push this too hard, the city pulls back. Money dries up. Who'll fix the playground? The roof on this dump? A woman from the back stands. Her hair is tied back with a faded scarf. I'll fix it. You. Think money from them's worth more than respect from us? A hush rolls over the room. Not agreement, not yet, but the hush of people seeing something old shift under the floorboards of their fear. Finally, the man lifts his head, his calm voice cutting through the noise without needing the mic. I didn't ask for all this. Didn't want it to go viral. But here we are. Every head turns, the hush deepens. He stands. He never raises his voice. Doesn't have to. I was ready to let her words die on the street. Let the block handle her like we always do. We remember, we whisper, we move on. But now? Now the world's watching our door. So what are we going to show them? He pauses, lets the question sink teeth into every corner of the room. I don't need anyone fighting for me. I need you fighting for yourselves. For your kids who'll walk this block after we're dust. For the kid who sees me stand calm and thinks maybe he can stand calm too. A murmur rolls through the rows, warmer now, like breath on cold glass. Don't do this for me, he says, softer now. Do it so no kid on this street ever hears go back and wonders if they should. The old woman at the mic wipes the corner of her eye with the back of her hand. That's it then. We got our answer. Mr. Hassan taps his cane again. We stand. The young mother nods, bouncing her baby. We stand. One by one, like dominoes leaning into a quiet wind, voices echo the same promise. We stand. He sits back down, the nurse's hand brushing his shoulder for just a second, a small anchor in a sea. That's learning how to stay afloat together. The old hall hums with a new kind of noise. Not the noise that buries truth, but the kind that builds it, one word at a time. By the week's end, the block looks almost the same, cracked pavement, the same flickering streetlight, the same corner. Store door that squeaks every time it swings open. But if you stand still enough, you feel it. Something loosened, something settled, something older than any insult hanging bright in the early sun. The man stands at the mural again. Roots rise, watching fresh paint bloom beside it. A small group of kids crowd around the ladder. A girl, no more than 11, dips her brush in bright gold, adding a new sun above the old fist wrapped in roots. Her hair is tucked under a bandana spattered with every color you can think of. She glances down at him, all seriousness and paint-smeared cheeks. Is this okay? She asks. He tips his cap back, squints at the new sun. Looks more than okay. She smiles wide, missing one front tooth, and goes back to work, each stroke planting a new promise above cracked brick. Behind him, the block hums, not the low, restless hum of tension, but the soft buzz of neighbors. Talking on stoops, people who once crossed the street now stopping to swap stories. Old divisions stitched with cautious threads, not healed, not perfect, but mending. He crosses the street to Hassan's store. The bell jingles as he steps inside. Hassan looks up from behind the counter, a small grin cutting through his grizzled beard. You see the kids? Hassan asks, nodding out the window. Hard to miss, the man says, grabbing a bottle of water from the cooler. He cracks it open, takes a sip, tastes something cleaner than cold plastic, tastes the stubborn hope that seeped into these walls. Hassan leans forward, lowering his voice even though no one else is there to hear. City called. Said they're sending a rep down next week. Want to talk community engagement? He chuckles, rough and proud. Funny how quick they find time when they see a camera pointed their way. The man smiles but doesn't gloat. They'll come. They'll promise. We'll hold them to it. Hassan taps the counter twice. Damn right we will. Outside, a car creeps by, windows down, radio thumping old school soul that spills into the street. The man nods at the driver, who nods back. Not a big thing, just an everyday thing. And that's the point. That's always been the point. He steps out, the bell jingling behind him like a promise. He walks past the mural, past the kids who keep painting suns over shadows, past the nurse who waves from the bus stop on her way to the late shift, past the teenage boy from that day, phone in hand, new clip posted, but this time it's the kids on the ladder he's filming, his voice quiet behind the lens. This is us. This is home. He stops at the same spot where she spit her hate, the same stretch of concrete where the crowd first gathered. There's no sign left. No chalk mark, no stain. Just the memory, etched deep in the bones of the block. The father who offered him free coffee passes by, pushing the same stroller. The baby's bigger now, eyes wide at the morning sun. The man crouches, offers a finger. The baby grabs it tight. No hesitation, no fear, just tiny, perfect trust. The father grins. Still owe you that coffee. One day, the man says. He lets the baby's tiny grip go, slow, gentle. A reminder of what this was always about. Not fighting hate with hate, not shouting louder, but planting something deeper than fear. He keeps walking. The block opens up in front of him like it always does. Cracked, stubborn, real. His name still floats in whispered thanks he never asked for, but he wears it like an old coat, useful but not heavy. Halfway down the street, the brother from that late-night porch talk stands by a pickup, kids bouncing in the back seat. He lifts a hand. The man lifts one back. No words, just a nod that says, "We're not our blood. We're what we choose to stand for." The mural's fresh sun gleams behind him when he glances back. The girl's still painting. The brush keeps moving. Her friend laughs beside her, dipping his own brush in bright blue. Each color a small rebellion, a loud promise. He turns the corner toward his house. Same cracked steps. Same old blinds rattling in the breeze. But the block feels taller somehow, thicker at the roots. Stubborn enough to stay out tomorrow, someone will say it again, to him, to someone like him, go back, but he'll stand. And so will the kids, and so will the block. Because going back isn't an option when you never left in the first place. He keys the lock, pushes the door open, the smell of his sister's stew drifting down the hall. Inside waits warmth. Inside waits family. Inside waits tomorrow, same block, same fight. Same truth that keeps him standing where his roots say he belongs.